welcome back to another episode of The Grapevine. My name is Susan.
I'm Susie.
We are so excited for today's episode. We are broadcasting from the Triumphant Christian Church, and we have some very special guests with us. Abuna?
Hi, I'm Father Joshua Gergis. I serve at St. George Tampa, and also I'm responsible for the spiritual and human resources in the program.
Adel Habib. I'm the program director of the TCC.
I am Julia Dawood, and I am a licensed mental health counselor providing individual counseling to students here.
Fadi Aziz, I am the program manager of TCC.
Thank you for being here with us today. We're very excited. I would like to, before we start this episode, I would like to say a little bit, give a brief introduction about the Triumphant Christian Church, or as we're going to refer to it in this episode, the TCC. It was established in February of 2016 under the direct supervision of His Grace Bishop Yusuf, Bishop of the Coptic Orthodox Diocese of the Southern United States. The program was really established and based on a road to recovery through our Lord Jesus Christ. It's located in Brooksville, Florida, and it was established for the purpose of building a refuge for the spiritual, emotional, and physical regeneration of men who struggle with alcohol and drug addiction. The property is situated on a huge green field in a quiet solace environment. The cornerstone of the TCC and the road to recovery is the altar of the Three Saintly Youth Chapel. Now let's take a tour of the facility. We are back now with our special guests, and we are going to be able to ask them some questions today. So can you guys tell us, why did you name the facility the TCC?
Yes, TCC mean Triumphant Christian Church, triumphant, which is victory or overcoming. The Bible has a lot to say about being an overcomer. The term overcomer is especially prominent in the book of Revelation, where Jesus encouraged his people to remain steadfast through trials. Overcomers are followers of Christ who successfully resist the power and temptation of the world system. An overcomer is not sinless, but holds fast to faith in Christ until the end. He does not turn away when times get difficult or become an apostate. Overcoming requires complete dependence upon God for direction, purpose, and strength to follow His plan for our lives.
Beautiful.
Great. So I know it's a Coptic church. Are there any people that you do not accept? Do they have to be Coptic Christians, or is there specific people that we don't accept here at TCC?
Very good questions. Actually, we accept any applicants when they fit the criteria. First of all, he has to be recommended by the church. So the church members or the priest there, they have to recommend him first. Second, he's willing to come to the program. We do not accept any student that has any mental health condition. That's it. Thank you.
And the age too.
Of course, the age is between 18 and 20, whatever.
Over 18.
Over 18. Yes.
Okay.
That's interesting that you said that the age is 18 or older. Are there any other requirements that you guys have for people to enter into the TCC? And actually, for the purpose of the viewers not being confused, we want to let you know that we're referring to the people living here in the house on their road to recovery. We're referring to them as students because that is what they do at the facility.
Yes, they should have the will to change. So at the beginning, they have to write or fill the application by themselves. And then they have to complete all the process till the admission date. And then after that, he has to have the will for changing because it's not easy, it's hard, but through Christ we can do everything.
You know, the problem is the family sometimes pushes the students to come over here. We do prefer to have the students come by themselves. This is very important.
So I understand. So basically they have to be over 18. They cannot really have mental health issues, and it should be free will because God gave us free will, and it should be something that we are freely doing to come in and get treatment.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah, and that makes sense too, because I would assume you'd have much more success whenever there is free will as opposed to somebody entering into the program, against their own will. Yeah. Okay, so can you tell us a little bit about more about the program, maybe from beginning to end? You had mentioned admissions and intake. What does that look like?
Yes, after they filling the application, we have a committee called the intake committee. This committee we have like physicians, doctors, managers, and finance. This is the last step.
Psychiatrists.
Yes, and the psychiatrists too. So he has to go through all this process till the finance step, which is the last one. And then after we accept him, or all of us, we approve him, he can come. Even maybe he has to go to the detox or come straight to the facility if he don't need the detox. After he coming here, he admit the program. He start trying to help himself and tell us how to help him, and then he go through the daily schedule, the program, which is starting waking up at 7 o'clock in the morning, taking breakfast with his brothers, praying, and then taking classes. We have like the work time starting from 12 o'clock till 3 o'clock, and then we pray and then take dinner at 5 o'clock. We have therapists, we have counselors, and we have every day the Bible study at night, and then we have the addiction classes, which is every day also. This is the mainly daily schedule. We have a lot of things to do during the work time, which is cooking, work in the yard, work in the dining room, working inside the house, which is a houseman. So we making a rotation every day, every month, because he has to know a lot of jobs before he leave. Maybe he can work outside in any restaurant. Maybe he can work landscaping work, or maybe whatever. Or we have also the main project now, which is the woodwork, the wood shop. We do frames, we do some arcades. We learn them how to do that.
That's amazing. So
Yes.
you're not only creating fellowship among them and creating good habits, you're possibly creating future careers for them too. That's really neat.
How long is the intake process? And then also, is it just like when you're adding responsibilities, is it just one responsibility at a time until they're just full of responsibilities? Is that how it is? That's the understanding I'm trying to get. But how long is the intake process is the first thing I wanted to...
Very good question. The intake process will not take more than 5 to 7 days.
Okay.
As soon as we have the application, we discuss it with each other, and we do interview with the students, each one in his specialty. The priest will ask about the spiritual part, the doctors, of course, mental and medical health condition, and then the finance.
I have a question too. Like, I know that you said you have to accept the student into the program. Is there any times where you guys have not accepted students, saying that they meet the most important requirements, like they're coming on their own will? And then if you don't accept them, what have we done with those?
You know, for those that we will not accept them, there is a reason. The only reason, I think, is the patient doesn't will to come. This is number one. The second is if he has any other condition like mental health problems. Other than that, we will accept anyone.
That's really great.
We also try to direct them to other rehab centers that they can help them more than we can. That's what we do. We try to help people to go certain places, not just to reject the application and say that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's good. That sounds very good. Obviously, we don't want to leave our brothers out there on their own. We want to definitely give some advice. So I know you were mentioning that you were giving responsibilities, but then there comes counseling. So what exactly, can you tell us a little bit about that? How is the counseling?
Absolutely. So I'm, like I said, the mental health counselor. And part of, there are kind of 3 categories of counseling that we offer at TCC. The first category is individual counseling. The second is group counseling. And the third is family counseling. So just to kind of give you an idea of what we're talking about, when you're thinking to yourself, what is this struggle and why is it that we provide counseling? Why this service is so important here? If you can imagine being, one of these members or these students coming to the program, they're all struggling with some sort of a drug addiction, right? So when they come to the program, they are, the first criteria for being a member of TCC is that they are detox. They're not allowed to use their substance of choice anymore. Okay. So that's a huge transition, right? Being number 1, not able to use the substance of choice. And then number 2, all the other elements, which is being removed from all of the familiar things that exist at home, right? So their friends, their jobs, their peers, maybe their spouse, all those different aspects. So when they come, part of the process is, we're going to talk about sort of the withdrawal from, drugs, but there's also the psychological aspect of all of that. So when they're here, they have a lot of time to think and to reflect and to assess themselves. So the purpose of individual counseling is really to work with them, give them a safe and private space and confidential space to talk with a counselor one-to-one so that they can really work on developing a self-awareness, understanding what could have possibly caused this to happen. What are some of my triggers? What are the things that I'm struggling with? I've been, when I get stressed out or when I get overwhelmed, I'm used to using drugs, right? So how do I, when I'm feeling stressed now, right? When I don't have that resource to go to, what am I going to do? What's the process I'm going to go through? So within the scope of individual and group and family, we're really working on them as a whole person to give them and teach them the skills to deal with those stressors. And, what do I do when I'm feeling really sad? What do I do when I'm feeling really overwhelmed and I don't know what to do? So with individual, we provide individual weekly. So they're meeting with a counselor one-to-one every single week, once a week. With group therapy, what's really great, for those of you who don't know about group, is that they're working as a team. So all of the members are meeting together with a counselor. And what's amazing and beautiful about group therapy is that the members are providing feedback to each other. Okay, so it's a brother, like they're bonding with each other, they're growing together as members, and they are understanding, wait a second, I'm not alone in this. Mm-hmm. This is something that other people are going through, and, we all have our struggles. So they really support each other in group counseling. And then finally, family therapy is really a service. Some people might think that because members maybe come from different places, how do we provide, support for the family? We're really working actively to try to, connect with families. So we have a counselor who will Skype call, phone call, actually go and visit them in different states if they're able to. So we're working on, all of those aspects. So I think that's really what, in terms of counseling, that's a really comprehensive way that we're trying to support members so that when they get back into the real world, that they don't fall back into that same drug addiction, and we're preventing relapse, of course.
Yeah, that sounds great.
That's
sounds
amazing.
Nice.
It really is. It seems like a very well-rounded program that tackles like every aspect of it, the emotional, the physical, the psychological, and the spiritual piece of it as well. So speaking of the spiritual part, Abuna, can you tell us a little bit about the spiritual aspect of the program and really what it entails?
Thank God that His Grace Bishop Yusuf, when he took the initiative to start the program and established this place, TCC, to have a place that you have a spiritual recovery along with the physical recovery. And that's what Christ said in John 15:5. Without me, you can do nothing. Mm-hmm. So without the grace of God, meaning even the small things in our life, we cannot do without the help of Christ. How much more if someone is trying to overcome an addiction has been happening for many years. That, of course, they need a big help. So we try to provide the channels of grace or the means of grace, which is sacraments, liturgies. We have a weekly liturgy here, weekly basis. We do daily, morning, and evening prayers. And also there is sacrament of repentance of confessions. Priests, we have a group of priests who come from the surrounding area to sit one-on-one with the students for spiritual counseling and confession. All these are channels of grace to help the students to receive the grace of God that can support them and help them in this manner, in spiritual manner.
That's
really
great,
amazing.
yeah. Actually, I wanted to ask, what is the difference between this regeneration program and then other ones that are out there? There are other Christian rehabilitation centers or just regular rehabilitation centers. What are some of the differences?
It's very sad that the science-based centers, they ignore the spiritual recovery. At the same time, we have addiction specialists who really look at addiction. It's a biopsycho social spiritual disorder, meaning for a person to be wholly recovered, he needs to be recovered in all four aspects:
Right.
biological, physical, psychological, spiritual, and social. So if you ignore any one of the four, the recovery is not going to be full. That's I think the difference between TCC and other science-based, or maybe it's faith-based program more than science-based program.
Okay, great.
Yeah, it seems like, you mentioned this earlier, Julia, but it would be really easy to fall back into old habits because, like you said, a moment of stress, a moment of weakness. So getting that emotional, physical, psychological, especially the spiritual aspect, so when you do feel alone or you do feel stressed, you know that you're not alone. So it's really, really interesting. Can you guys tell us a little bit about other services that the facility offers?
Actually, here we have the medical staff that they come visit the center when we have any medical problem. We have psychiatrists. We have 4 psychiatrists, actually. They come and help them as well. We look also for any problems that affect the students during their life or the past life. First of all, with addiction, you see a lot of students, they have some financial problem or they have legal problem. So we give them advices. We have legal advisor, we have financial advisor to help them to overcome these problems.
Great.
It's great. So it really sets them up for success.
I want to go back to the structure of the program. I know what I read online was, besides this counseling, that there's journaling and then there's a period, I don't know how far into the program, that they start to mentor newcomers. Can you tell us a little bit about the journaling and the mentoring?
The monitoring for them, not just for the behavior, no, everything. Working, how they do physically, emotionally. So we starting the day from the morning till night. Everything has to be on time to get their life again organized. So eating on time, sleeping on time, classes on time, liturgy on time, showers on time, soccer on time, everything. So we have also to monitor that. If he has a problem for doing everything on time, it takes a little bit, some more time. But after that, he is going to be on the right track.
And you have also outing for the students.
We have outing every other week, or sometimes we will make it every week. So also the outing is monitoring with us, and they need it because it's really hard to stay here. The program is 9 months.
Right.
Yes, and also we use it as a privilege to them.
I'm sorry, I guess I wasn't clear. I went the mentoring part where the newcomers are mentored, I guess, by students who've been in for a while.
Yes, we have something called Big Brother.
Okay.
The newcomer has to have a big brother. He like helping him to show him the daily schedule with us, okay? To show him how to also, if he's gonna be like in the kitchen, for the kitchen crew, we have a leader for the kitchen crew. If he's gonna be in the yard, we have a yard crew, leader for the yard crew. If he's gonna be like the houseman, we have houseman under him. So his youngest students, he showed them how to work the clothes, how to clean, everything.
Okay.
So this is called the monitoring, which is a big brother.
And how often are they journaling? Is it a daily thing? Is it something that they look back on just in case when they do leave the program, they can look at I guess the succession of their success, or like how they went through the program? Is
It's
it a daily
daily,
thing?
and then we have the schedule. As I mentioned, everything has to be on time. So they use it daily, the daily thing. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
It's really nice.
Yeah.
So it seems like structure is the key takeaway I'm getting, which I could see how that would really help with recovery. So it's not about, taking the shower 100%. It's about taking it at the same time or the right time per schedule. So it's really neat.
Yes, and also it's very important for the old brothers because they have responsibility and they have a trust, and this which is very important to get back the trust.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, they
that
need
sounds
it,
like
and
that's
it's
big.
very important to them. When you have a trust, he can take the responsibility for taking decisions, for taking right actions, because when he's helping somebody, he's serving God also through him. And he's giving back God what God gave him through the program or through the 9-month.
It's wonderful.
Tell me, how many students can the facility intake at a time?
It's 30 students.
30?
Yes, the
Okay.
program can take 30.
This is the maximum.
The maximum.
That's the maximum number.
Yes.
Okay. How many on average do you guys have?
The average is, you can say, between 6 to 12 up till now. We are planning to have short-term project to have 20 within 6 months from today.
That's great.
Yeah,
Great.
that's really good. 6 to 12 is good. So at the end of the 9 months, they reach a graduation if they've, gone through the structure and have done well. Can you tell us what is the criteria for graduation? I mean, I know you told us about the structure and the monitoring and the mentoring and the journaling, but is there more to it?
The graduation is not by months, but it's important to have changed the behavior of each student. The behavior is number one criteria for us. Second is following the rules, because we cannot live in a community without following the rules. So rules is very important to us. Second, they have to have a plan in their life after they leave the center. Very important to prepare them for the work after 9 months. So they have to sleep maximum 8 hours a day. They have to work at least 8 hours a day before they graduate from the center. They have to be ready to go to the future, and they build their future from that time.
That's great. In your experience, tell us what leads to success for students in the program.
Yes, he has to build his relationship with God as much as he can. I mean, this is the first way for him to success and to make his life blessed. As much and as long he's gonna go close to God, as much as long he will get blessed in his life. So this is the first and the main thing. The second thing, admitting that he has a problem. So he starts to fix it through God.
That's amazing.
So which is harder, developing the relationship with God or admitting the problem? What do you find? What do you find is the common thing for most of the students? Are they having trouble building that relationship, or are they having trouble saying, I have a problem, I am addicted?
I think admitting that he has a problem, it should be the very first thing. When he joined the program, it just happened. It has to happen in the beginning.
Okay.
But growing up in the spiritual life, that takes time.
Right.
That's a process of how to grow up the relationship with God. That's why it's two separate things. I think it's harder to take a decision that you're wrong, but then it's longer to grow in the spiritual life.
All right.
And I think something I find unique about this center is that you do have to enter on your own will,
Willfully,
you know.
yes.
So I would think that probably the success rate of admitting you have a problem
pretty high.
would be better than if you were, put against your own will. You know what I
Right.
mean? Makes sense.
Yes, absolutely right. Because if he hasn't the will, he's not gonna change. It's gonna be very hard on him. And also, as Abuna mentioned, he has to make God his decision maker. Because if he's gonna do that, he will think right to act right.
So are you in contact with any of the students that have graduated and moved on? Or do you check on them often to see how they're doing, if they've relapsed, or just do they come to visit? Do you go and visit them?
We request from the priest where the student came from, the original church, that they come to visit them during the program at least 3 times, after the first 3 months, after 6 months, and then during graduation time. And then after they graduate, we request from the priest also to assign a servant to follow up spiritually with the graduates and report to us in case of any relapse or anything that could happen.
Do they ever come back to visit just, to thank everyone or to,
Many of them, they keep relationship with us. They
Right.
call us from time to time, and we call them
Mhm.
to see how they are doing. We encourage them to keep this because this is very important. We have built already a relationship for 9 months. So that's why we would like to keep this relationship forever.
Great.
And just as far as being a postgraduate, I think part of the process too is as counselors, it's really, part of the process is, when you're terminating, you want to provide some support when they're leaving the program. So as counselors, what we have sort of established in the process is that we have a counselor, a couple counselors who are dedicated to calling postgraduates. So, and that's really at their own, their desire or their level of need. So if they say, yes, I want you to check in with me every day for the next 6 months, then that's what we will do. We will give them a call. And then we will work with the families as well in that process. So if the family, has questions about, well, I'm having a hard time trusting, or I'm worried about this, or this is what's going on, they ask those questions and we are open and we provide our phone numbers as counselors and they are able to contact us whenever they need to. So we try to be supportive and then sometimes parents will say, I'm okay, everything's going well. They're very communicative with their father of confession, so things are going well and they're very integrated. So in that case, things are good and they just decide that they don't really want to maintain communication. But other than that, we try to provide it as much as we can until they're ready and good to go.
Great.
It's really good. So one thing when I was reading about the facility I noticed is that only men are accepted into the facility. So we were curious about that, excited to learn about it today, if somebody could shed some light on that.
We did not receive any application yet from any women or girls.
Well,
but
I guess
when
that's good
we
news.
will see any application, I'll call you.
Good.
Honestly, any project in the world, you have to have a demand first.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, maybe after 1,000 years from today, the women will be addicts. But I hope they will not.
God forbid. God forbid.
No, but that's great. Honestly, it's such a blessing to have this facility, and I know that we said February 2016. It's definitely still fresh, so I'm sure it's going to keep evolving every single day. Right?
Definitely. So, how do you plan on educating the community further regarding this regeneration center and the dangers of addiction? Because I'm assuming you're not just worried about the ones that are in here, but obviously want to do something preventative for the community.
The problem for addiction is increasing. There is 192 persons dies every day from addiction, whether it's car accident or overdoses or suicidal attack or bleeding. So the problem is very big, and we see a lot of addiction now in the church. Sorry to say that, but this is true. So we will have what we call it awareness program. It will be hopefully the end of November or the early week of December. It will be on all churches in the diocese, and hopefully we can do it for the whole churches in the United States. This program is, we are working on it right now, and Sayyidina Amba Yusuf is helping us a lot to provide these informations. We have a lot of experience in addiction. They can help us to build up this program. So hopefully we'll do it the 3rd week of November or the 1st week of December of this year. And this program will be every year. It's like National Day of Diabetes or National Day of Addiction. We will do it for the Coptic churches, the National Week of Addiction.
Wow.
So hopefully it will be successful. We need your help, by the way.
We're here to help.
CYC can help us a lot in this week.
No, we're happy to help.
Yeah,
I'll tell
and
you,
mention our churches and
the center is so amazing, to be honest, and you lead me to my next question is, how can the viewers help support the program?
I want to take the chance being on CYC and announce that we are in big need of servants and volunteers. And on our website, there is a whole list of requirements for who can serve and volunteer at TCC. And the website...
the website is triumphantcrc.org. I know some of the requirements we heard were you have to be 25 years and up, and you have to be a servant at your own church as well.
Okay, great. So thank you for that, Abuna. So another question that came to mind is, I feel like the center is so valuable and serves so much value to the community and anybody struggling. Does the center treat any other types of addiction besides drug and alcohol? Because I know those are the ones we think of, but we're well aware of other kinds of addiction there is.
Yes, we treat gambling, pornography, food addiction. Actually, we used to have a very hard case. He was a very nice student, polite student, but has a very hard food addiction. He came 544 pounds.
Wow.
And he made it. After he finished the 9 months, he was 290 pounds.
Wow.
And you know what's so amazing about that? It's like not even just the weight. It's about like there's always a void being filled, you know, and so to be able to help that.
It was very hard, very, very hard on him and on all of us. But as I said at the beginning, through Christ, we can do everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Fadi, why you do it for the students? Why you don't do it for the staff as well? I need to lose weight.
That's so funny. We all have a little bit. We could do it all. That's for sure. That's funny. Well, that really is an amazing story, and it's nice to know that if a person is struggling with any sort of addiction, you know, that they would be eligible for the program as long as they meet.
Yes, he's working and he's studying. He's in the school. I mean, this altar and this church, I see miracles happening here every single minute, not every day.
Wow. That's amazing.
Right,
It must be
yes.
amazing to be part of that, and
Yes.
I think it's amazing to be part of
Are there
something
any
like that.
other stories that stand out that you wanted to share?
Any story, any addiction, when you overcome the sin or any type of addiction, this is a miracle.
It is.
Because it's not easy. The devil is not going to allow you
Oh, yeah.
to go away from him easily. It's very hard. But through Christ, as I said, it's very easy because God give us, all of us, the strength to resist any manipulation from the devil.
Yeah, the warfare must be really, it's a lot. It's strong.
It is. And everybody is susceptible to it.
Yes,
I think that's
exactly.
the takeaway. There's no embarrassment, there's no shame. We're all susceptible. So, well, thank you so much for spending the time talking to us today. We're so thankful that we had this opportunity.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
and we're really glad thank you very much, and we're really glad we get to do another episode with some more of your staff to learn more about addiction. So,
Yes.
we learned so much from you, and it's just an amazing center, and we're looking forward to just growing with you and spreading the word to everyone as well.
Yep. So stay tuned to another episode of The Grapevine. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.